Hi, friends. Welcome back to Shut Up, Tell Me More. Well, I love interesting people and guests, and I also love talking about things that aren't normally a part of everyday conversation. And this is that type of show. Amy Taylor is here. Amy is the full package in the strongest sense of the words. She's extremely intelligent. She was a biochem major at Berkeley, then she got her MBA. She's a Mensa member. She's a pilot. She's a gorgeous model, and she also happens to be someone who is a high-end companion. Amy is a force. She is an open book, and she's ready to discuss the good, the bad, the ugly, and the logistics of her career. Remember that you could listen to us everywhere podcasts are available, and you could watch us. We're on Spotify and also on YouTube, so check us out. Amy's gorgeous, so you'll probably want to tune into this one. And now, here's my conversation with the amazing Amy Taylor. Welcome to the podcast. You are so incredibly dynamic, definitely one of the most interesting people I have ever come across. To get to know my guests, I always like to start from the very beginning. So tell me about how you grew up, your family, where you grew up, all the things, Amy.
Hi, Pam. It's so good to see you guys. So growing up was pretty normal. My father is a retired professor. I was born on the East Coast. He taught at a university in New England. And when I was pretty young, 5 or 6, we moved to California. He took a job. And I went to grammar school and high school there, was a pretty smart little kid. And then luckily, a pretty good looking little kid. So I started some modeling in my young years and teen years, just small stuff. We weren't in, London or Paris or New York. But I did like fashion shows and things, and then did a pageant in California and won it, which was weird, but helped pay for school. And then I went to college in the Bay Area at UC Berkeley because it was good and cheap. I came from a good family, but not a super rich family, upper middle. We were okay. Took vacations, but would stay in like a Marriott, not a Four Seasons. So
Mm-hmm.
a fine, normal suburban life. Um, and uh, and at Berkeley is when I found out about the stuff we'll talk about, and but filed it kind of in the back of my head for a couple years because, like a lot of pretty girls in college, I met a guy who was a doctor. I was candy striping at a hospital before I realized I was too stupid to pass organic chemistry. So that was the end of my med school dreams. But I did candy stripe, and of course, this doctor promptly hits on me. He introduced me to some of the finer things in life. That's where some of that started. Things I had not been exposed to. Um, and then I found out about sorority sister. I think when you're young and pretty and broke, you're figuring out that has some leverage, and there's ways to surf off of that leverage.
Yeah.
So college was where all that developed. But I studied molecular biology. And so after college, I went and worked in biotech, hated it, was a solidly mediocre scientist, was neither that great at it, nor did I love it. I killed a lot of mice. I just murdered mice all day in this
Oh,
laboratory.
yeah.
Yeah, it was awful. I mean, you talk about jobs that are hard on the soul. That one's the one that still gives me nightmares. I hated it. And so I was like, what now? I'm only trained for biology. So I pivoted, applied to do an MBA in Los Angeles, had always wanted to live in Los Angeles. I got into UCLA undergrad with a scholarship, but my parents wanted me closer to home. They probably knew me better than I knew myself. But I eventually got to Los Angeles where sunshine and palm trees and pretty people. And it was everything and more that I thought it would be. So I had a great time. Finished my MBA, started the misbehavior we'll talk about. Worked for an oil company meanwhile, did a lot of modeling, got my pilot's license during the Great Recession, did lots of stuff. The 25 years I lived in LA were spectacular,
Yeah.
and also horrifying at times. We'll get into it. And then a few years ago, I guess I had a midlife crisis. I moved to Manhattan, so I live in New York City now.
That's the best change ever. I love New York. That's
You
incredible.
know, I wanted to move here maybe 15 years ago. I just didn't. Absolutely, the weather's better in LA, but I'm really enjoying this chapter in New York. I will not live here forever. I'm a Californian. My family's there. I will go back, but this chapter is quite fun.
Okay, so work-wise, which is better to live in?
There's more opportunity in New York for like broadcast media and brand deals. Everybody test markets in New York because it's New York.
Mhm.
Um, I probably would have been more successful in the regular world had I moved here earlier, and maybe I should have. That's why people come here in their 20s, right? Um, I would have been so poor, but uh, so yeah, it's better for opportunity here. It's New York City. Nothing beats it, and it's a culture of people who want to work. LA is a bit mellower.
Yeah.
They're very pretty, but it moves a little slower. So, but it's not bad for work. It's still a big city,
Hmm.
right? It's not podunk. But I think there's a reason that the young come to big cities for opportunity, and that they should. They're also very fun.
Yeah.
So New York
Well,
sharpens you. Everyone here is smart. I haven't met a stupid person here in 3 years.
and you are
They're
incredibly smart. And the fact that you won a pageant surprises me zero because you are the complete package, which brings us to what you said before, the misbehaving, which I don't consider it misbehaving. I would like the record to show that. I think what you've done is incredible. You were a professional companion. So when did you learn about this and who introduced you to it? Bring me that whole
yeah.
journey.
So like I said, I think it sort of happens organically to women that are pretty, and you get your pick of guys. So I was in a sorority, and obviously a lot of the frat boys are privileged. Berkeley's a good school, so you did have those boys that were like from like Andover and Exeter and places that were not where I was from.
Hmm.
And so my first college boyfriend already was from like a much wealthier family than me. It's not why I dated him, but you just had a lot of that, especially in the Greek system in a very good school. Had I gone to a private school, I'm sure it would have even been more so. Most of my sorority sisters were much wealthier than I was. I think they let me in because I was good looking and I don't know, nice. I don't know.
Sororities
But I
like
was,
good looking for sure. So, yes.
yeah. But most of the girls were much richer than me, and I felt that difference. But anyway, so I was candy striping in the hospital, and this guy who was at the end of residency. So he was 10 years older than me. He was older, but not like crypt keeper old. I thought he was cute. Some of my sorority sisters were like, ew, you're like 19 and he's 29. That's gross. But I didn't think it was gross. My parents are considerably different in age, so maybe that I modeled that.
Hmm.
But I didn't think 10 years, he wasn't like in a wheelchair, for Christ's sakes. Um, and he offered to take me to a really nice restaurant first date, and he didn't try to sleep with me for a year. And he took me to the opera in San Francisco and bought the dress because he knew there's no way I could even afford the dress and shoes. And he didn't have to be told, like, if I'm taking you to the opera, I buy the outfit, because he had manners and understood that a college girl, if you offer her an opera, she can't even, like I said, afford the outfit. So he understood. He was 10 years ahead and making money, and I wasn't. So it was kind of it just evolved of being like, I guess, like a sugar baby. He just paid for everything because there was no way I ever could, and he wanted to date me, and
But
we
you
were
were
financially
fully in a
unequal.
committed relationship. Like this wasn't
Absolutely. No,
okay.
we were very much in love. He wanted to marry me. I didn't. I ended up no wanting to go to LA to grad school, and we broke up. But I probably should have married him. It would have been perfect. He got married. He's fine. He's got kids. He married a great girl. He's fine. But yeah, I mean, it was the traditional thing of you're pretty and he wants to have kids and he's got a great job. I mean, I just was staring down the barrel of my whole life as after college, I worked at this biotech firm, and he moved me into his house, and we're living together, and I'm realizing this is it. I'm going to be a doctor's wife in a small town in Northern California. And I just didn't want to.
Yeah.
It wasn't that I didn't love him. I think I wanted to live in a big city and maybe make my own money and spread my own wings a little. And boy, did I, more than I should have. Um, but it was a bit heartbreaking to untangle from that. And maybe part of what happened is that a sorority sister of mine also told me about high end escorting. So her parents had gotten divorced, and she had moved out of our sorority house because her dad wasn't like helping her mom, and they were fighting in the divorce, and she couldn't afford to live in our sorority house. And she was my friend. And one summer we were both going to summer school. She was 1 year ahead of me, but we were both taking summer classes to like help. Some of the classes are hard to get into at Berkeley. They have a lot of, they're impacted and you can't get in. And so you do summer school to try to graduate on time. And it's fun to stay there. So she finally she gets this apartment with a nice view and gets a car. And I was like, oh, is your dad helping out again? And she confessed that she would go over the Bay Bridge and have these dates with these tech guys. The kind of first tech boom was
Yep.
just happening.
Yep.
This is the end of the 90s,
Mm-hmm.
99. And she said they were kind of dorky, but very nice. And she'd come home with 10,000 bucks and they were super nice. And I was like, wait, what? Like,
Sign me up. Yes.
I mean, the rest of us are doing that for free.
Yes.
And the only problem is they don't want you to move in and try to own you and marry you. That sounds great to me. So she maybe over glamorized it, but my first impression of it was that it was just dating with a guy who helps you survive when you have giant bills and negative income from school.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I didn't know anything about the bad side of it because she didn't experience that, and so I didn't hear about that, which was inaccurate. I found out later. But I kind of filed that away in the back of my head as like, holy shit, like you can get, when somebody tells you that you can get paid a ton of money for doing what you're already doing for free, I mean,
Yeah.
so it was somewhere in the back of my head. And so then when I moved to LA, the original plan was that I would do my MBA, maybe have an ability to earn an income outside of biotech, which I hated and was bad at. And then the doctor and I'd move back in with him, and he and I would get married and have children. But I would have another ticket, an MBA, to have other skills. That was the original plan, is that I'd only live in LA for 2 years. Well, he and I didn't make it. We broke up. Some of that was him, some of that was me. And then I suddenly had nobody paying for grad school. He took away my car. You can't live in LA without a car. What should I have done? I suppose I should have dropped out of my MBA program and gotten a job at some biotech firm somewhere. And I didn't want to. I just didn't want to. And so I was like, "Oh, ding ding. I'm gonna I'm gonna do what she told me."
Yeah.
I think it was somewhere in the back of my head. And
Yeah.
so
And
I
by the way, stopping your dreams is not, I don't think, is the answer. Like, I don't think you should have dropped
Right.
out. I think you found a way to make it work for yourself. So, okay. So you think about the sorority
Yeah.
sister, you're like,
Is it the
that
best?
sounded so good.
Well, I looked around for an agency like she had worked for in the Bay Area years earlier when she told me about it. And nobody would hire me. I was like this girl next door. They hired like soap opera models and, LA types. But one agency owner I talked to, she said, if you're really like this smart and this cool, and she had done her homework on me. She's like, you're the real deal. Like, amazing men would love you. You don't need an agency. You can do this on your own. And I was like, well, I don't know how to do that. She's like, oh, check out this website. She sent me to a few websites, and I mean, it ain't rocket science. I was like, okay, I need a couple pictures. I need a cell phone. I need an email. I need to pick a name. You can pick whatever you want. It's just, for privacy. It doesn't really matter. And so I hung out my shingle, and immediately, I mean, my first client was somebody who saw me for 10 years.
Wow.
Hollywood
Were
agent.
you
We're
nervous
still,
that first date?
no, we met in public at a restaurant that I had been to with a million friends. And he was so famous. What's he gonna do? Like, I guess, but dating is dangerous too. I mean, if you're scared of men, then don't date at all, right? I was no more scared. I took the same precautions I would have taken in regular unpaid dating. It's the same.
Yeah.
It's just dating. And we had a great dinner and had a great time, and I really liked him. And we're still friendly. I haven't seen him in 1,000 years. Life changed. He's happily married and quite a bit older now, but we went all over the world together. We had a great time.
Wait, I love, by
Um,
the way, that you just slipped in. He's famous. So what was that like? Did you have to sign an NDA, or what were the precautions with that?
Not with him, but other famous people I have.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of them don't really care when they're. Sometimes you catch them when they like just got divorced and they're single and they're dating. It's LA. They're dating a bunch of people. Nobody is really surprised if they're dating somebody that's 15 years younger than them, that they're probably taking her shopping effectively, or helping her pay rent, or that's not really surprising to people in big expensive cities. Like here in New York, like real estate agents all have like some dude coming in to show me this condo. It's for my girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's not, and in their world, so average people, which is what I came from, uh, don't understand that in the world of the wealthy, if some guy is a billionaire, there's no fucking way he's going to let you work your $80,000 a year job and be tired and never be available to him,
Yes.
or he's going to let you wear H&M when he's taking you to some gala at Cipriani. Because no, he's going to dress you in what he can afford so you match. He's going to retire you from your job so that you're available and rested on his schedule because he's very busy. Or that's just not, they don't even think twice about, like, if one person has a million times more money than the person they're dating, why on earth would they let you open your wallet ever? I mean, my clients would laugh at the idea that I would open my wallet around them
Yeah.
because they had so much more than me. That would make no sense.
So you
And so
kind
it's
of
not
get
about trying to
into,
get leverage or be a jerk, or it's just one person has a lot more than the other to give. So, right?
yeah, so they give. And it also, I mean, at that level of wealth, it's no skin off their back whatsoever. So when you started
No, it's
into
chump
that
change.
world, were you still dating personally, or did that take the place of dating
No, I
personally?
was I was having so much fun. Well then my second client was a cop. And that day was very bad.
Okay.
Yeah, he was super nice. We talked on the phone. He told me he owned a company. I didn't screen well enough because I was young and stupid and trusted everybody because I didn't come from the streets. And I went to jail for 2 hours. The sandwiches in jail are not good. If you
Just
ever go,
FYI.
yeah,
Wait, so you were fully set up in like a sting operation?
yeah.
That
And
is
he, oh, it was so
bananas.
gross.
And this is
Yeah.
the second date, the second client you ever
I
had.
know, right in Orange County, California. Tom Giffen. Hey, fuck you, Tom.
Right? Oh my gosh. Oh, that
Yeah,
must be
I'm sure
crazy.
he's either retired or dead now. Don't care. He was such a liar, such a liar. I thought I had met a cute guy, and I did like him. We talked on the phone for 2 days beforehand. Yeah, okay. I had bills in grad school, and I did need help surviving, but I also liked him. I wouldn't have gone there if I didn't like him. And he was kind of cute for an older man. And I thought, oh, I'm going to meet somebody I can date a little bit, and maybe yeah, sure, maybe he'll help me out. But I wasn't being forced. I didn't dislike him, and he lied to me and he acted, and he was still acting after he arrested me. He told me I was too good for escorting or companionship, whatever, and that I should date his rich brother in Newport Beach. I was like, wait, what? If there even I don't even know if that's true. I don't even know if there was a rich brother or he was still lying.
Right.
This dude was should have won an Oscar. He was a sociopath.
That is unbelievable.
And
And then wait, but you still continued in that industry. How did you
well,
keep
then I
going? Were
got
you
mad.
worried?
So, well, I get out of jail. Now I've got a court case and a 2 year hassle, and it's, going to be 25 grand. And I was not ashamed. I was not sorry. I didn't do anything wrong. Nobody forced me. I have the right to do what I own my body. The government does not.
Hmm.
Government is not going to tell me who I can date, when, or why. And if I like rich guys and I'm pretty and they like me, the government can fuck off.
Hmm.
I wasn't raping anybody, right? He wasn't being forced. Of course, I would never.
Right.
So there was consent. There was two adults. Like, I was not sorry. I was not ashamed. So I called my first client and he laughed and he said, yeah, I thought that would happen to you because you don't screen because you trust everybody. And he connected me with a very famous Hollywood attorney who celebrities call when they make mistakes. And she solved it all. I never got convicted of anything. We play hardball with them, which was scary for me because I was not ready to play hardball with them. But we negotiated it out and it ended up fine. And I did pay him back. I did not. It was important for me to pay him back. But so now I'm not going to quit. I've got these giant bills,
Yeah.
still getting my MBA, so I've got no income. I'm in school, right? Uh, and then my third client was a billionaire who saw me for over a decade. He's lovely. His health has failed in the last few years, so I haven't seen him, but I learned so much from him and his energy. I mean, this dude, everyone on earth likes him. He's just a good human being in addition to being successful. He's
Yeah.
not cruel. Yes, he's powerful, but he doesn't abuse. I mean, I was so lucky that this man liked me. Just a mensch of a person.
Yes, I love mentions. So, being
Yeah.
burned on your second client, how did you change your vetting process and what
I
process do you
learned.
go through now?
Well, so I got much better at it. I reached out to people in my community online, none of which I knew. I was brand new, and I think maybe that sort of legitimized me because everybody was like, "Who is this chick?" And I learned a lot of technological and soft methods for screening, which they evolve as tech evolves, so they're different now than they were back then. But um, I got real good at computer stuff, real good, real quick.
Amazing. Like
Oh, every companion on Earth could easily work for the FBI,
that's
easily.
that's my favorite skill in the world, like being able to find dirt on people. I
Oh my
absolutely
God.
love that.
Well,
So
all these girlies under 35 now, they could all be detectives
oh
too. It's
yes,
amazing.
yes. I have certain friends who I'm like, I need you to find out this, and 10 minutes later, I know everything I'll ever need to know. So
Well,
now,
so the smart clients, you know what they're doing. They're filling the internet full of nonsense that's not true about themselves to combat that.
oh my god, and that's right. In
Yeah.
AI, is that affecting the
Yeah.
game?
I'm sure it will. I'm a little out of the loop on that stuff, but I'm sure it will. I mean, I frankly think with the advent of PIM eyes, AI should be what we should do because if you have a photo of your eyes out there now, anybody can find out who you are and therefore where you live.
That's right.
Uh, the Harvard kids, they went around with Google Glasses and they found out if they could look at some girl, they could look up where she lived, her phone number, everything about her, like Terminator. That's here now. So I frankly think companions should use AI photos, but I understand that gentlemen don't want that. The push and pull, gentlemen want a photo that looks exactly like you look walking down the street. You cannot provide that. You will get evicted. You will lose your civilian job if you have one or your school. So the consumer or the seller wants to give less, and that's like that in any business, right?
Yeah.
I think if I were starting as a companion now, I absolutely would not use real photos. They would all be AI, but I would of course keep them similar. I you don't can't be too fake. But
Yeah.
I don't think consumers, clients in this business have the right to ask for non-AI photos when those ruin your ability to cross borders, to travel. I mean, with eyeball recognition now, you're crazy if you're putting photos of your eyes out anywhere,
Yeah, that's so true. I didn't even think about
or even the
that.
shape of your face, right? That's being used now too with recognition. And I have known companions that have been stopped at the borders, both coming into the US and going to other countries. They've been detained because of their photos online.
Wow.
So I think AI can save, and if clients won't allow AI photos, they're going to lose their access to great escorts because we don't make enough to ruin our lives for these guys. It's not fair. It's just
How do
not
you
fair.
verify though that like any of this is even correct? Because you're right with AI. I mean, anyone could put out anything. You could create an entire fake
Dude, in
universe.
the 1980s, when you called an escort, you went in the before I was in this game. They guys called in the yellow pages and they took whatever they got, and they were
Yeah.
happy.
Yeah. You don't get upset. It takes there are so many
Well, you might have
misconceptions.
asked for a blonde and you hopefully
Right?
get a blonde, but like I don't think you are entitled to photos that look exactly like she looks walking her dog and going to Whole Foods. That's unreasonable.
Right. Right. So there are so many misconceptions about the world of being a companion. What do you think like the top misconception is and can you debunk it?
We are not a monolith. I can't speak for all companions. There are many levels. I'm not saying any are above, but let's say a lateral spectrum.
Mhm.
People choose to work differently. Some women have a husband and kids at home. They want to just go have fun for an hour or two and go home and make dinner for their family. Others don't have that, and they like to go to the Seychelles for 2 weeks with a dude. One is not better than the other. People do what works for them. Some men just want a great time, peace and quiet. They don't really want to get to know you. Other men want a relationship for 15 years and very much of a girlfriend type of thing. So I can't speak for all of it, but I do think at the they assume we are all either a victim or a Jezebel and nothing in between. So what you first get when people find out you do this is first they pity you. They assume you are trafficked, somebody's abusing you, you're like a crackhead, you whatever. And then when they find out you're more or less okay, like everybody else, then they can't pity you. So then they decide to hate you, that you're a Jezebel taking advantage of men's weaknesses and addiction to your beauty or whatever. And so I get both. I'm either a victim or a monster. And both of those tropes are just ways of hating a deviant person that you don't understand, of course, and both of them are wrong. It is people. 99% of people who do this are not people who've done it for years like me. They do it for 6 months to buy
Mhm.
a car, pay off a card. Um, they are all around you guys. It's your yoga teacher. It's, the chick at Whole Foods. They're just people. And I think the dehumanization of them, it yeah, either stems from envy or it stems from that we were in the closet. When people think they don't know anybody who does a certain thing or lives a certain way, they can fill the vacuum in information with all sorts of nonsense, right? Like people used to think they didn't know a gay person and they
Mhm.
created all kinds of nonsense about gay people, and gay people are totally just like everybody else. It's pretty boring, right?
Yep.
They just want love and to survive, and that's it. And when we all realize we know lots of gay people, that has gotten better. Not good enough yet, but better. And why can't sex workers of all kinds, not just companions, but OnlyFans, strippers, dominatrixes, FinDom, all of it, why can't they come out of the closet in the same way? Well, because it's not yet safe. So much the same way LGBTQ people had it, decades ago, where it was literally unsafe for their lives to come out of the closet. That's the space we exist in. Society traps us in that if we come out, we lose our housing, our school, our kids. Sometimes the courts will take your kids away if you have them. So you can't tell the truth. Society won't let you. And then when you do tell the truth, you are branded forever. And it costs you so much that most won't. And so you stay in the shadows. And when you stay in the shadows, other people tell your story for you.
Yes.
I mean, I just the other day, some guy was on a message board insulting me for talking about my former life. And this is a guy who's a client. So make it make
Wow.
sense. Well, make it make sense, dude. If you do this, but you hate us for talking about it, then that means you hate yourself for doing it, I guess.
Yes, 100%. There's so much shame that he's projecting onto you, and that is
But you still like pretty girls, of course, right? They're women. So yeah, that is, and this is the crux of the problem is that because of stigma and shame, men hate themselves for seeing us, and yet they will always see us. And so they do things like they want to be told they're not bad people because society says they're bad people for being clients, which is wrong. They are not. They're just people like everybody else.
mhm,
Some are good and some are bad.
mhm.
And when it gets really bad with stigma and shame and they hate themselves so much, they hurt us. They transfer that hate onto us. They decide that you're a, dirty fucking whore. And that's where you get like serial killers, right? And
Yes.
rapists. So stigma kills indirectly. It makes clients hate themselves for hiring us and then they want to hurt us. So abolitionists and antis, when you say that this industry is so horrible, you contribute to the murder of sex workers. And either you care about that or you don't. I think some people really just don't care. They'd like to see us all dead in a ditch. Um, but I don't think that people who live differently from us, even if we can't understand their choices, deserve to die for that. I
Yes.
simply don't. I
No.
don't think that way.
And I think that's why what you're doing is so important because you are putting a face to this, a person to this, a voice to this. And once they see you, they're like, oh, she's just like me. Or you're right. Maybe it is my yoga teacher that's doing this.
Yeah.
Like, it's not this taboo thing, especially because what you're doing is essentially dating. So, can you
Yeah.
take me through the process of like someone writes on your website, like, I'm interested, and then what
Yeah.
happens?
It's like my own private hinge. They ask if I want to go on a date or go on a trip or go to dinner or go to cocktails. And they've already learned. So at first it's one way because they've usually already spent, I mean, most of my clients spent a long time listening, learning, reading about me before choosing me. One said he didn't think I was pretty enough, but then he decided I was cool. I'm like, well, thanks. But
I,
then I got him for years.
oh,
So I
I
went on
can
personality.
only imagine. Oh,
They always think they want blondes, but the brunettes get them. No, not always. It's fine. Everything's great. And there's every type is great. But jokes aside, they know more about me in the beginning. And so they have to slow down and be careful because a lot of times they think there's all this chemistry, but it's parasocial, right? They're a stranger to me still.
mhm.
So I do my checks, tech and soft, find out as much as I can about them. Some people are very easy, especially if they're famous or something, or heads of state or politics, whatever. Some people are less easy to find. Um, one of my favorite friends is in another country and I don't speak that language. He speaks English, but it was very difficult to find out more about him because of the language barrier. But I was successful. I'm not the dumbest girl. So and we've been seeing each other for years, which is fine. Great. I like him a lot. So once I decide this is somebody I want to meet, then we make plans. And a first date is a first date. It's an audition for both parties. Most people like me. I'm nice and pretty. Um, I've liked most of them, even if I didn't. I always made sure it was I'm polite and well mannered. We had a great date, even if we are never going to see each other again.
Mhm.
And that's rare, but it's happened a couple times. A couple times I've had to leave early, refund pro rata. A couple times they've misbehaved and then there is no refund. You lie to me, you put my life in danger, we're done, goodbye. And I call my lawyers and even law enforcement if I've had to, which has happened twice.
Wow. Can you tell me about those experiences?
Well, so the big one that some people do or don't know about, so I put the kingpin of American prostitution in prison in 2010. His name was David Elms. Your fans, and you can read about it if you Google David Elms murder.
Okay.
And the reason the word is murder is that he came after me because I would not make money for him. So that's here. Welcome to the dark side of this. Okay, so I've told you about the fun stuff. Great guys,
Yes.
nice date, great travel, Almans and Four Seasons. All that's true. It's great. Private jets are awesome. I wish I could afford one. But the bad side is when you are pretty and you have value in this game, there are predatory people lurking about all over the world that know that you're worth millions a year and they want to make money off you, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
They want to be your
Essentially online
manager.
pimps. Yeah.
Yeah, well, so the new thing is these OnlyFans managers, Andrew Tate types, and there's a zillion of them. I'm old and I get like 10 messages a day still for the OnlyFans manager. Yeah, so some of it's virtual, some of it's in real life. They want to ship you off to Dubai and take a cut and blah, blah, blah. That happens a lot. Well, one came from me. He owned a site called The Erotic Review, which is still up. He sort of still tangentially owns it through a shell called Treehouse Park and, shell after shell in Grand Cayman and the Netherlands. You know how these organized crime does it.
Yep.
And he wanted me to get my clients to join his site. They would write about me. He would charge people for memberships to read, like Yelp for
Mm-hmm.
companions.
Mm-hmm.
And so he would indirectly make money. And then he said, I can control your career by like putting up additional good stuff about you. If anything bad comes up about you, I will take it down. But you got to come to my house and fuck me, right?
Yeah, great. Also,
And
that's such a very personal thing. And the line of work that you do to have a review written about you, like, I
it's
can only
yeah.
imagine what it would say.
Well, it makes no sense because it it omits the most important part of things, which is 50% of it, which is the other party,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
This is not somebody ordering a coffee and you give it to them and leave, right? It's a date. It's two
Mm-hmm.
people.
It's
Both
chemistry.
are important.
Yes.
And yes, a guy can help provide, and there's a monetary component. There is in many marriages too. There's a financial imbalance, but that doesn't make it a cut and dry thing of like dropping off your dry cleaning. It's much more intimate, and it always will be. It's a date or a trip or a relationship. So it doesn't make any sense, reviews. They're nonsense, of course. I think maybe some sort of Yelp site to say who's going to rob or scam guys might be useful, but that is not what this guy was running. And he was demanding that anybody he wanted come and have sex with him. And, you don't know me that well, but you, one thing you're not going to do is control my body.
Yes.
No government and no pimp and no man, no husband, nobody's going to control my body. I'll literally die first. So freedom is my mast in the wind, and this guy wanted to take my freedom away, and that was a mistake on his part. So of course, I unceremoniously told him to go fuck himself, and that was a mistake on my part because I did not know he was as evil as he was. So he spent the next few years coming after me. He bought the URL of my birth name, which is not Amy Taylor, even though I own the US copyright and trademark to the name Amy Taylor. It is not the one on my, birth certificate.
Mm-hmm.
And he bought that and he outed me to the world. He sent it to my parents and my job and my, at the time, boyfriend. You asked if I dated civilian. I tried. And this is what happened. He sent it to that boyfriend's work, and that guy got shamed by everybody he worked with because he knew what I had done, but he didn't want other people to know. He had a corporate job, and it's not great for his reputation, right? That his girlfriend was a companion. That doesn't look good.
Yeah.
So I lose the boyfriend, I lose my job, my family doesn't talk to me for 2.5 years, and I was consumed with getting justice.
Oh my
I
gosh.
sued this pimp. Uh, and we won. He didn't show up in court because he was a crackhead. If you ever sue somebody, sue a crackhead.
Right.
They're very unreliable.
Hot tip, everyone. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. It's easy to win because they don't make their court dates. Shocker. But when I won, and I think I won like 80 grand in a judgment, he still owes it to me. I never collected. I didn't care about the money. It was never about money. But then he wanted to kill me. So the Great Recession hits. I go to Phoenix to fly planes. I'm also a commercial pilot.
Yep.
So
Side note, little extra fun thing that Amy does just on the side. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
You can do it too. It's easy.
Totally.
It's really easy.
Oh,
You can
it's
do
so easy. Yes. Everyone could do it. Yes.
Fixed wing is easy. Rotorcraft is hard, which is what I'm learning now, and it's much harder. But he drove out to Phoenix, Arizona, where I was getting my tickets and then being a flight instructor afterwards. He drove out there to murder me. Thank God the Phoenix police decided to intercept him and save my life. And I don't know why they did that. I guess they wanted him. I don't think it was about me, but the Phoenix Police Department is the only reason I'm alive. I'd be dead without them.
Absolutely unbelievable. And did other girls come forward and say, he's done the same thing to me, or was?
Oh yeah, I knew many, and that's why I hated him so much, because I knew several who had to go to his house all the time and do what he wanted. I knew them. I know one, she just DM'd me the other day. She's okay. She's in Miami now and retired. But yeah, I knew more than one who had to do that stuff for him.
And isn't that another reason why it's so important that this stuff becomes uncriminalized or legalized, because this hides in the shadows? Yeah.
Yeah, that's what allows people like this to flourish. So in Sydney and other provinces of Australia, I'm going to get the details wrong. I'm not Australian, so somebody maybe can correct me in the comments. But I know the brothel system, they have to be owned by a woman. Now, there are investors and partners that are men, but the actual operator has to be a woman because they found out that there's too many shenanigans when it's some creepy dude, right?
I did not know that. That is fascinating.
Smart, right? It doesn't mean that men can't be financially interested, but in the day-to-day operations in a house full of young, hot chicks, you don't want the person to be a dude for obvious reasons, right? It just works better. Like we had a house mother in my sorority. It would not have been good if it was a guy.
That's right.
Duh.
Yes.
So it's like the Uber now that where you can select a woman. That's safer for some girls. Nobody's trying to be sexist, but some things just work better. And what works better in this industry, even if you hate it, and there's a lot to hate, I grant you that, people, it is full of problems like every industry, but
Yes,
these are
that's right.
labor issues, and the way you solve them is, as you said, Pam, making it legitimate. What we did with weed, we bring it out of the shadows. Doesn't mean there's no problems, but you make it better, and better players get into it, which prevents monsters like David Elms from becoming the kingpin who controlled American sex work for years. He did,
Yeah.
and that was only possible because better, more ethical, honest people chose not to do it because of criminalization, right?
Absolutely. I'm amazed with you that you went through all of that, nearly getting murdered, and you still stayed in the business. Like, that
Well,
is,
meanwhile, I'm at the Aman in, you know, in Greece with a billionaire who's good looking and fun, and I've known for 10 years, who's not 5 years at the time, and who's great. So it's just, who else am I going to date? And once you get stigmatized, it's not like you can go date normal guys because look what's all over Google now.
that's
So
right.
I paid the piper. I might as well dance, right?
That's right. Also, there is this glamorous, funny, fun portion to this. So, what is like the craziest thing you've ever done on a date with when you were a companion?
I mean, so many nice things. A guy flew me by private jet to San Francisco to Quince, where they made a bespoke dinner for my birthday, and it was just us. I've been to every major sporting Formula One, Super Bowl, all. I haven't been to the Masters. Somebody call me. No, just kidding. I'm in the sunset. Take somebody younger. But I've been to pretty much everything. World Series, soccer, everything. Been to lots of galas, love a full-length fancy dress, opening night at the ballet, opening night at the opera with, rubbing nose with high society. Probably half of these chicks are high-end escorts. What do I know? But
Hmm.
the or not, I don't know. I don't care. So yes, I've been around, like I said earlier, private jets are awesome. I wish I had one. They're amazing. Yachts, mega yachts are great. St. Bart's New Year's with the mega yacht gathering is as spectacular as you would suspect. The clothing is nicer, the food is yummier, the hotel suites are more beautiful. But the people have the same problems, the same insecurities, same stresses. These guys are kissing other people's butts the same way I'm of service.
Hmm. Hmm.
Everyone's of service to people. That's life.
Yeah.
And I am no more, I learned, even though I get to come along for the ride, however long they want me around, and all that's great. When they want out, you have to get out. That's the rule. And sometimes you can miss either them or the fun or both, but you're not married. You're not even their girlfriend. You're a companion, and them's the rules. You're like their pilots or their drivers or their chefs or whatever. It's a service, and you have to keep it as such, even though the nature of the service is to act like you're their girlfriend or even wife. Many of them introduce you as their wife, which is weird. Um,
You're like, well,
uh,
then there's much more benefit that comes along with that if I am your
I
wife.
mean, right? I got no legal right to any of this, but
Right?
I also didn't have to have your kids, or I
Or
didn't.
deal with all the crap. Yes.
I mean, the wives. I mean, that's the most painful part. I've had two wives call me now. It doesn't feel good. I'm not proud of that.
Hmm.
Most of them were less mad at me after a while. Some of them we even laughed together. One stayed, one left. They're both fine. I don't see the guys anymore. Obviously, I gave my word that I wouldn't. Both guys called and tried, but I gave my word, and so I meant it. Also, I didn't want to get like murdered.
Right. Good
But
point. Yes. Are all
well,
of
you
your
just
clients married or are some
very
single?
few, almost never. And I would
Oh,
have liked it to be never, just for my own conscience. I tried. Um, one who I saw for many years was in a very unhappy marriage. They had both filed divorce on each other several times at different times,
hmm. Hmm.
and they finally ended it when I was seeing him, and they are both happier now. I keep in touch with him. That was a toxic marriage that needed to end, but they had kids to raise, and finally they could leave. The kids were older and out of the house, and uh, I don't know, it was heartbreaking. We were driving in Florida, and he heard this song on the air that was the song that played at their wedding, and I watched his face, and you could see memories and pain of, I think, the time when they were happy and in love, which at that time had been 25 years, right? Uh, but sometimes things go badly and they maybe need to end in a friendly way. And that's how it went for them. And I just hope they're both, I know they're both happier, and I'm glad.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, a few were married, and I don't love that, but that's, I couldn't get it going so that everybody was single. But I would say more than 80% of them were single, which was often much better,
Is
right?
there a typical like makeup of these people? Like if you had to create a profile of who the average client is, who are they?
I mean, we say in our industry the average guy's like a lawyer, like a rich lawyer.
Mm-hmm,
I
mm-hmm.
don't know. And I certainly saw several lawyers. But I liked writers a lot. Just 'cause they're brilliant. And in Hollywood, that was in LA, that was easily able to meet like writers of in the movie or TV business. And I often liked their minds a lot. I like really cerebral people. Reminds me of my parents, I guess.
And
So I saw,
yourself, because you are extremely intelligent. So I feel like when you are matched with
thank
someone
you.
who's of your intellect, I mean, it's evident to anyone
I
that's
like
listening to
nerds.
this. Like it really
Yeah.
is. You,
Well, I like nerds. I think they're great. And less than the popular kids. Although I was always very popular because I'm hot, but I never felt like I was truly in it. Like I wasn't a cheerleader or whatever. I was homecoming princess, but that's just because I look like this. But yeah, so I like nerds and writers are hilarious people and I miss both of them. One passed away and one moved out of the country, but they were every moment I would have literally paid to be around them. Uh, but I saw like a couple doctors. Doctors always think they're God. They think they're better than everybody else, but that's because when you're dying, that's the person you're begging.
that's right.
And they are God when you're real sick. They are your God. But they can be arrogant, but that's okay. That's fine. They've earned it. Lots of like CEO types, politicians, there's a lot of fear of the public. They can't usually be seen with you.
Mm-hmm.
So you work it out that way. Rock stars, oh my God, if a guy can play you a song at 2 a.m. that the whole world knows, yeah, that works. That
Yes.
like that'll get your head twisted. You have to remind yourself that you're just one more groupie.
How do you do that though? Do you just like compartmentalize your feelings?
So we have databases where we keep safety records on guys. It's only if they're bad clients. So sometimes you'll look up a guy's phone number and you'll see how many other people he's seen, and that'll humble you because you're reminded that you're not special.
Okay.
I mean, you're special, but you're not special. And the reference system, we use a reference system, so you remind yourself that they saw somebody before you. They're seeing people during you probably, or they have the right to if they want. It's none of my business.
Right.
I don't want them. And they're going to see people after you. So you just, you know, but sure, I mean, probably 90% of my clients told me they loved me. I don't believe they did. I think they loved what I made them feel, or they were grateful, or they felt great care for me. And likewise, I did too. But I wouldn't call it love, and
Have
not the way I
you
define.
ever fallen in love with a client?
No, but I know hundreds of retired escorts who are married to clients. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
know a lot. It happens a lot. Why have I never? Well, one of them that I would have, he wanted me to move here to New York before I lived here, and I didn't want to yet. And so then we broke up because he was like, "You're either moving here and we're gonna be together or not." And I chose not, which maybe was a mistake. Who knows? But he was great. He was dashing. In another life, I wonder if I would have given that a try, what would have happened? I bet you it would have been awesome and then a colossal failure.
Yeah.
But it probably would have been fun for a while.
If you would have done that, how would you have like broken up the professional part of your relationship and moved on to the personal
Well,
part?
that's always the difficulty. I've never done that, but I've talked to people who have, and of course, that's the problem is the finances, right? You suddenly she's got no income, so either you're wealthy enough that you're just paying for everything, and it's all just an accounting, which is common. So the women that I know that married the clients, the guys tended to be very wealthy. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
like private jet wealthy. So moving her into their 10 different houses and putting her on the jet, it actually doesn't even add any cost to them. Like wardrobe shopping, it's chump change to them. The trust is the other problem. What do you do about the fact that he's rich, so he knows how to find access to other women anytime he wants, and he can afford it. And it solves itself on our side because eventually we get older and nobody would want us if we even tried, right? But that takes longer than you think.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of guys who like mature women. So trust can be difficult on both sides. Like I dumped a client once because even though it was not a real relationship, but we were seeing each other like 15, 20 days a month for years. So it was pretty much just him and me.
Yeah.
I didn't have time for anybody else. And if he did, then God love him. I don't know. But I caught him going through my phone and he was deleting texts. He was answering people as if he was me. He was engaging in some pretty psychotic behaviors.
Yeah. Wow.
I asked him why, of course, and he said it's because he never feels secure because I always have all these other men that want me. And I was like, well, dude, you have a ton of money. There's other women you can have at the drop of a dime.
That's right. And how do you think we got here, sir? Like, of course.
So maybe he got in his feels and got too possessive. I stopped seeing him. That was hard for me because I really liked him. I thought about going back and forth, and then I just got my head on straight and moved on. And that was the best for both of us. So when you get your feels involved, which can happen when it's romantic, you asked about all the crazy things. I mean, the incredible suites and the incredible that can, I mean, the Amangiri in Utah, like I would give my left arm to be able to afford to go there. It's
Yes.
it's the prettiest place in the world and I can't afford it. And you can feel pretty romantic with the right person in those suites. Suite
100%.
suite
Yes.
one, everybody, the one with the private pool. Get
Yeah,
room one. It's
right.
the best.
I
It's
like
the
want
best
to
one.
link it in the bio and like
Yeah.
manifest going there. That's
I don't
amazing.
work for them. No, and it's I mean it's a spectacular and if you're with somebody you like, it's these are the moments that make life worth living and you can get it twisted and then you can get really humbled. A billionaire I used to see, we stopped seeing each other. He moved too far away. He's like, look, I love you, but I'm not going to fly you there. Fine, no problem. He's a boss, right? I see his plane on the tarmac in Los Angeles where I was teaching a student in flight school. And I recognized his plane. And so I texted him, like, hey, not trying to bug you, but are you on the tarmac over here? Because I'm like 20 yards away teaching a student. And he says, who? Because I
Oh,
hadn't seen him.
lovely. Yeah.
Yeah, humbling, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And so I said my name and the pilot. And I was like, dude, how many people have my name and the pilot could you possibly know?
Yes.
And then he said again, who? And so I was like, dude, I dated you for like every other weekend for 2 years. But I mean, these guys, some of them are so famous. They know so many people.
Hmm.
The really sweet billionaire I mentioned that was like my third client. I sometimes would watch him pretend that he remembered people at like a party, and he obviously didn't. It was very cute to watch because he'd be like, hey, how is the family? Because he had no clue who it was. But
That's an
they're
amazing talent to pick up on for sure.
oh, I mean, and they're not being rude. It's just their lives are so abnormal compared to anything that I or anybody normal knows. It's neat that I've gotten to dip my toe in their pool and take a peek at their lives, but it's not my life, right?
You've had such amazing
Um,
world experience though. How is anyone ever going to measure up if you start dating someone personally? Like you've done all these incredible things and
yeah, I went to the
had
top of the
these
mountain.
opportunities. Yeah. How is that?
I
How do you
don't
worry about that?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm 48. I'm almost 49. I love this age. I will always have love. I'm not lonely. I've got a million friends. Many of them know what I've done. They still love me.
Hmm.
Some didn't want to talk to me anymore, and that's okay. That's their choice. But I'm not lonely. I can go out with people any night I want to. I can get a date anytime I want to. Plenty
Yep.
of guys like middle-aged ladies. Um, it's I'm not I so I don't know what love looks like for me, but I'm not entirely sure love is like some kind of monogamous relationship with a dude
Yeah.
not chasing having kids anymore. So when that's off the table, you don't really have to worry about like finding a man to make babies with.
That's
So
right.
that frees up a lot of options. And if love for me looks like being a crazy old lady on the Upper East Side wearing pearls to breakfast and having like three Yorkie dogs,
I love those
I'm honestly,
ladies.
dude, right? Like, and they're just doing charity at the Met or something and just being full crazy. I honestly think that'd be a fine future.
Yes, that
I,
sounds very happy.
there's lots of ways to make hay uh, and live in the sunshine. I think there's more than one way to have a happy life, and there's and if some guy wants to date the retired famous Amy Taylor, I think a lot of them fall in love with the idea of what that would be like, and then they realize it's going to be a lot less fun. So, like I said earlier, how's this guy going to reckon with the fact that everyone in his life is going to find out what I did? They're
Hmm.
going to
Hmm.
and they're going to then think he was a client, maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. That's a lot to reckon with, and the couples I know who've worked that out, it has not been easy. One of my retired girlfriends, she married a client, they're very much in love, they're still together. Now their children are like in high school, but when their two sons were in middle school, everyone found out what mom used to do, and her sons got bullied so mercilessly one of them tried to commit suicide.
Oh, I'm so sad to hear that. It's
He's
all part of the
okay,
reason
they're
why the
okay.
stigma has to go. Yeah.
Horrific. I blame the other people, the other fucking moms and dads
Yes.
who were awful about it, and kids maybe. But everybody's okay, thank God. But I mean, they live in LA where this stuff is less stigmatized. So where are they to go?
Mm-hmm.
There's a documentary called After Porn, and porn is more visible than this, but less and less so. Uh, but the outcomes for those people are often really bad because of visibility and stigma.
Yeah.
So most of my retired girlfriends who did this, they lie. They lie to survive, to keep their jobs, to keep their reputations.
So
It is what it is.
I think sex work is way more common than we think it is. And I think it
Oh,
is vitally important and life saving that we destigmatize this. So, like, average day person, what can we do to like help reduce the stigma? Because I don't believe that legislation is going to come anytime soon.
thank you. You're correct. The cultural thing is a different fight than the legislative fight. And I think you're right. We're probably going backwards to more conservative stuff because of the demographic problem of like a plummeting birth rate.
Hmm.
And for some reason, our desire not to replace it with immigration, which I thought would have been the great way to do it. But I guess we
Yeah.
don't want to do that. So, as they want to produce more homegrown American babies, all the policies are at least what we see coming down the pipeline will be more policies that promote like marriage and monogamy, and those will be increasingly anti-sex work if this trend continues. If that's the case, deviancy will be further punished, not less so. And that's a very dangerous place to be. If obviously I hope this trend reverses itself, you never know, but the average person, if somebody is talking about, you know, the dead hooker trope, or that sex workers or that clients are always pieces of shit, I think it can be a good thing to speak up and remind them of the complexity that not all clients are shitbags. It's just men, and there's many reasons people do this. Some men are single, some men have no access. We see disabled people. I've seen several. They had no access to intimacy, and I thought it was an honor to know them. Some of them are fascinating people. Uh, and the dead hooker joke is not a funny thing. This is not a throwaway life. These are daughters, mothers, wives, friends, employees, students. It's a human,
Hmm.
and you don't have to like somebody's choices to acknowledge that they deserve human rights, because you have secrets too. Every one of us does. Every one of us is lying about something. Every one of us is ashamed of something.
That's
Everybody.
right. That's right.
So I think speaking up, and in a way that's not overly pejorative, because cancel culture has backfired on my people because nobody likes being judged. But I think horrible behavior should be adjudged a little bit. And then the logical argument, I mean, it's I think it's very difficult for America to realize that criminalization is often crimegenic. It makes more bad stuff happen than it prevents. And that's not to say we want lawlessness either, but other countries have solved for this and done better ways, and we should be modeling them instead of just continue driven by spite. We're a very, very spiteful country that thinks it can punish and spite its way to a society that it wants. And we already incarcerate more people than everyone else, and it's clearly not working.
That's right.
Um, so we have to look to people who are having more success. What are they doing? Let's benchmark places that are smarter. Um, Instead of having such hubris to think that as a young country that's barely even existed, that we know best, because clearly we don't, right?
Yeah.
Whereas OECD says we're like number 25 in quality of life. We're not doing that great. It's
We are not
again,
winning. No,
well, it's better than a lot of places, no question.
that's true.
But I think the for some reason it's very difficult to even say that you'd like to decriminalize prostitution or sex work of other kinds uh, that are currently criminalized. For some reason, that makes this. My sister is a politician in California, and she has tried to talk to legislators about knowing a companion and loving somebody who's been in this world, me,
Hmm.
and they're horrified. They're horrified that their constituents will stop donating and stop voting for them.
Yep.
And so no one is willing to stick their neck out until they are. And I would look to the LGBTQ movement for how they did it, because it's very similar. I think their struggle for rights,
Yeah.
and they've become, even though they're by definition deviant, they're about 10% give or take. They have amassed great power and influence by being very brave. You know, I live very close to Stonewall, where they used to get literally killed for
Yep.
their choices.
Yep.
And so I think we could get there. Other countries have. I'm hopeful, but I think the average person can just, remind people that someone you know is a sex worker, and someone you love is probably a sex worker. And if you're acting like that, then they don't feel that they can trust you enough to tell you.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that you don't know anybody, because you do.
That is such an amazing message. And I think, Amy, what you are doing is such a big part of destigmatizing this. And I appreciate you being on this podcast and sharing your message and sharing your journey, the good, the bad, all of it. So thank you so much.
Thank you for your kindness. I hope people enjoyed listening. And just, lead with curiosity and kindness, people. It opens more hearts and it makes more change than you know. So
Absolutely. Where can people find you on social media?
oh, thanks. I'm Amy Taylor NYC on pretty much all of them. And then amytaylor.com. There's a pay site. You don't have to join. It's just content. And then I have a YouTube channel. I think it's also Amy Taylor NYC, I think. I got to ask my web lady. So
I'll put the link in the bio, or in the show
you.
notes. So don't you worry about it. Thank you so much, Amy, for being here. I'm so grateful. And thank you all for listening. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Shut Up, Tell Me More. You can find us on Instagram at Shut Up, Tell Me More. Remember to subscribe to the podcast. If you listen on Apple Podcasts, go to the show page and click the follow plus sign. If you listen on Spotify, click the follow button. You can also find us on YouTube. You'll automatically receive new episodes as they come out, as well as updates. Doing this also helps me algorithm land, so thanks in advance. Lastly, give me a 5-star review, and I'll be so, so grateful. See you in the next one.